Oh, Make all the stuff go away. Oh, no, I don't want to leave the meeting. Oh dear. Sorry, just a second. My computer is not cooperating. Stop my sharing. How about that? Okay. Oh goodness, what is happening? There we go. Okay.
Can't hear anything.
Hello. So I think everybody should be into the meeting now, or almost everybody. So we'll just give everybody a second to pop in. Hi, Candy.
Hi, Jen.
I'm
eating my dinner.
So I'll just pop this up for a second. We'll wait for everybody to come in. We're going to ask that everybody please turn your video and mute your microphone. And you can change it to speaker view. And so that's usually top right. You can pop down and either go gallery view or speaker view. And then our Q&A will be at the end. And so we're going to ask that everybody type any questions you have into the chat. And we will answer them all at the end of the little session here that we have. All right, a couple more people need to come in. Awesome, this is a great turnout. Thank you guys for coming. So, and if you can see my screen, so if you see what I'm doing here, you can go down and hit stop video and mute for yours, or if you've got it minimized, there's a little doohickey in the top right of your screen, so you can turn yourself off. And that way we won't be interrupted as we're going through. Alrighty. Okay, so I think that's everybody in, so we're going to get started. So my name is Jessica. I'm Communications Chair for the Alberta Horse Trials Association, and we're very happy to have Kirsten Berrien from BFL Canada to do our talk today on equine insurance. And she's going to explain all of the ins and outs, all of those things you wish you knew, answer all your questions, and it's going to be a super informative hour-ish we've planned. All right. So Kirsten's having a little bit of technical difficulty on her end. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen, and she sent me her PowerPoint, and she's going to go ahead and go through all of her slides. And then at the end, we'll go ahead and we'll answer any questions that you guys have. So. So I'll just pop it up here. So Kirsten, are you ready to go?
I sure am. Yep.
Okay, perfect. You need to play. Oh, sorry guys, just one sec.
Thank God you're here, Jessica.
Well, I'm trying. This is the first one I've done of this, so it's sort of we're figuring things out as we go. So I appreciate everybody's patience. So I think we can do it this way too, actually.
Can you just click on the slide as I go when I say go?
Yeah, I can scroll down. Say that
Okay.
would work. Yeah, so whenever you're ready. Thank you so much for coming, Kristen. We really appreciate you coming and doing this for us.
Hey, no, not a problem. I appreciate you guys and Kathleen reaching out to me to help introduce and educate a little bit on equine insurance. As the airlines say, we know you have choices out there, but again, I do thank you for allowing me to do this. I'm just going to start maybe with the next slide. It's just a little introduction to who I am. Kirsten, as we've all noted, I'm from Okotoks, Alberta. I work and live in my hometown, left for a little bit, but this is actually a new career for me. I've only been in insurance for a couple of years and with BFL for a couple of years, going into my third year here. So new chapter. I was previously a golf professional and a ski professional, and I decided to change course and like I said, have gotten myself into insurance. Super lucky to be with the Department of Equine. I am an equestrian myself. I play out at the Calgary Polo Club here for the last sort of 5 years. So I do, when you are talking to me, know a bit about equestrians. So that's always helpful in this industry, is to talk to someone who knows what you're talking about and can answer those questions. My company, BFL Canada, is a fairly large risk management and insurance company across, commercial company across Canada. We have many markets that we supply our products to, and one of them obviously is the equestrian industry. So without further ado, and anything I guess I say, guys, is really more based on my company. I can't get into obviously the other companies and their policies, etc. We are fairly, I would imagine, very similar in nature, but there are some differences out there. So again, anything I'm kind of introducing or giving you information on is a little bit more based on the BFL practice. So without any further ado, maybe the next slide. So Jessica, maybe just get down to slide 3 there. You still there, Jessica?
Yes.
Still there?
Yeah, I am.
Just yeah, just next slide if you could.
Yeah. Why do I need insurance on my horse? Is that the one?
Yeah. No, it's not moving on mine. So.
Oh. Do other people see that? I've got it scrolled down on mine.
No. Still introduction to equine insurance slide, the first slide.
Just one sec. How about now?
There we go.
There we go.
Back in business. All right, thanks. Okay, so why do I need insurance on my horse? A little bit of insurance 101. Of course, across the board, insurance means to indemnify or compensate, put back in your pocket, and protect someone who has suffered a financial or personal loss. So when it comes to insuring your horse, we will protect you against many circumstances that are definitely always out of your control most of the time and unexpected. You know, who knows why our horses get into the circumstances they get them into, only they know, but certain things like death, unexpected surgeries, sickness, injury, all are part of protecting you under an insurance policy. The next point there, can provide good animal care. This isn't necessarily saying that you don't take care of your horse. It just kind of puts into perspective a little bit more with certain things like major medical, which we'll get into a couple slides from now. But when you're put into a circumstance where you have to make financial decisions, AKA unexpected vet bills, it kind of comes into the scenario of, can I provide that extra care for my animal financially? So with an insurance policy, again, we can help with that, which also gives you the last point, which is peace of mind, basically. All right, so next one would be kind of some things to think about. And I always kind of say this to myself as well. When it comes to insuring my horses or even insuring anything else. But, you know, always with purchasing a horse, it's that vast financial commitment. It can be an investment. I know some people say with livestock that you're never investing, but it is. You've obviously put the money into it. You put some blood, sweat, and tears into it. And there's also that emotional attachment that comes with this. So always, I guess, it's just always kind of food for thought, or I encourage you to think a little bit beyond what, you know, obviously the dollar amount is when it comes to paying a premium, but that decision to insure kind of should be based on some financial outcome that you have. Worst case scenario is something that you have to really think about when you're maybe thinking of insuring your horse. And that worst case scenario is if the horse dies. So typically, if you are able to go out and replace the horse in question that has passed, if that's a yes, then, you know, self-insuring, which is something out there that maybe most people tend to do, may work better for you. But in the event that your horse does die and you can't replace that horse, I know, you know, you can't just replace that exact horse, but to, again, indemnify you or put money back into your pocket because you have insured that horse is something that you should really consider. You know, again, from a $5,000 horse to a $50,000 horse, $100,000 horse out there, it's everyone's different financial position, basically, that, you know, if your horse were to die, or again, those major medical scenarios that do come up, are you going to be able to, at the end of the day, be able to financially pay for it or be compensated for it? So the next slide I kind of have up is just, you know, to insure your horse. What is the process? The process can be fairly simple. There's not a lot that goes into it. So if you were to call us up and ask to inquire about some horse insurance, we would basically go through what most insurance companies go through for any market or product, and that's a basic application form. It just goes over info on yourself, you the owner, info on your horse, which gives us a little bit of a scope of who we're insuring per se, the age, the name, the breed, etc., the value. And then I also put in there any loss payee. This may come up in some situations where it's more of a lease scenario. And that loss payee is basically the party to whom the claim from a loss is to be paid for. So if you're, for example, like I said, on a lease or a trial, and maybe the owner requires you to have insurance on their horse, if in the event that, again, worst case scenario happens, that owner would be paid first and foremost after the claim or the loss. Next to that, there's a couple medical certificates that we send out and require. The first one is a veterinarian certificates. Again, if you are a horse owner, you've probably seen these come through a little bit or know of them. But basically, this veterinarian certificate is sworn and attested by a vet. They come out, they do a sort of a once over your horse, they go over the medical history, and like I said, they attest everything that is going on with your horse. And this is usually something that's considered more of a form that we require over a certain value. In BFL's cases, it's over $20,000 if that's your required limit or above. You would require to have a vet come out and check your horse and then submit this form. Declaration of health would be $20,000 and under, again, for BFL standards, and that's just to be filled out by you, the owner. It, again, helps disclose any of the medical factors that come in with your horse. And then just a couple other little kind of things that come with it that some people always are asking, and I thought I'd just put it on there. But a horse insurance policy is usually an annual. It's always 12 months. This is also a good question I get a lot of, and I think sometimes prevents people from actually taking out insurance on horses. And that is that you can cancel at any point in time. Again, this would be a great example for that lease. You as the leasee going into this decide that your time is up, your trial is up, or the lease is up. You've put insurance on the horse, but you're kind of midway through or a few months through, and you've decided that you don't require the horse anymore, which means you don't require insurance anymore. So it's up to you as the insured to cancel it, to give us a quick call. There is a bit of a short rate table that we use at that point in time, based on obviously the 12 months that you take the policy out for. So again, that's just a little bit of an insight as to how to take out a horse insurance policy when you kind of contact us. It's actually a fairly easy process, and we can certainly get things underway and placed if all the stars align and we get all those forms filled out. So. Now going into the actual coverages, there's basically two types of coverages when it comes to horse policies or equine policies, and that's basically all risk, and then there's major medical. On this slide right here, I've kind of put all risk as well as specified perils. All risk is basically the number one or the most popular way of covering horses. It's a little bit broader of a coverage. It covers the loss arising from any fortuitous, big F word there, which means usually by accident or chance. So it's again arising from any fortuitous cause, except those that are specifically excluded. And kind of at the end of this as well, I've got a little slide that goes over exclusions a little bit, but that's further down. So again, very, very much more broader than the specified perils. It's death by accident, sickness, illness, disease, fire, theft, and of course, humane destruction. Some examples are colic, we all know about that one, neurological disorders, transportation, fractured legs, etc. Like I said, it's a very, very much broader type of coverage. The specified perils, as it sort of says there, and is it's basically predefined. They're specific perils that are set in your policy. If it does show up on your policy, that just covers against death or destruction caused by or made necessary from the following perils. It's pretty simple: fire, lightning, smoke, collision, collapse, windstorm, theft, and a few bits more that take up a little bit too much more time to go over. But again, specified perils, it's not as broad. It's a little bit more limited, if you can say, and most likely is going to be a little bit cheaper too. But again, it's very predefined, and there are only specific perils that we allow coverage for. But again, the all risk is most likely the one that will quote you on, and what most people tend to ask for. The second coverage is going to be major medical versus surgical. Now, of course, major medical will cover all those emergencies under a general anesthetic, but of course is not limited to just surgery. These are, again, those unexpected vet calls in the middle of the night. You know, if your horse suffers from an injury, sickness, illness, requires that medical attention, you can submit over and above your deductible, of course. Some vet visits don't really require a whole lot. So if it's not over your deductible, you may not require or want to place a claim. But again, for an example, if your horse suffers that tendon injury, any severe lacerations, colic, and requires any diagnostics or any kind of treatments to help out, the major medical insurance will definitely respond to it. Like anything else, it does not cover any maintenance or wear and tear under like a navicular degenerative joint disease or arthritis. I always kind of be sure to say and to ask and discuss more in depth with whoever you go through, whatever broker you go through or insurance company, what their limitations are, and again, just really go into what major medical can cover. Again, I'm kind of giving you just little points of what is within a policy. When you do have a policy taken out, you are given a wording which describes a little bit more in depth what these coverages include or not include. The other one is out there as well. We can certainly offer just a surgical coverage. It only covers and protects from all those customary fees through surgical procedure performed on the insured horse in question. Also will help with that reasonable and customary aftercare when the horse is kept on the premise at the clinic where the procedure was performed. And again, it's always best to check with your broker for any limits on the coverage or exclusions, etc., just to make sure everyone's on the same page about that. So again, we've got the two major coverages. It's all risk is what you would see on a quote first and foremost, which is basically the full mortality portion. So if your horse does pass or die from any of those, then you will be compensated or indemnified for the limit that you have on the horse. And then major medical, again, would be the second most covered part on the policy. And that is, again, just as it says, any of those surgeries or unexpected veterinarian calls due to illness or any kind of medical attention your horse requires. The next slide is kind of an important one. We definitely offer this. We actually include it in our policy. I'm not sure about our other companies out there, if they do or not, or if there's somewhere in there, but this is really important to have actually. Guaranteed renewal with waiver of depreciation. So this is in the event that your horse goes down, has a major sickness, or that injury comes up during the policy term, that annual policy term. Coverage will guarantee that the mortality insurance will be renewed. So upon your renewal time, will be renewed at the same terms and conditions as the previous year for an additional 12 months. Really, really important. So again, there's the example. Again, we all know about colic. On renewal, the value will not be reduced and the insurer will not exclude colic if the horse dies within the 12-month period. So again, something that obviously if you're not familiar with equine insurance, this is something that's really, really important to consider when you are either shopping around for different premiums and different policies and different coverages. But this is something that certainly we include and think is very, very important to offer. So guaranteed renewal with waiver of depreciation, really important. Hopefully I'm not going too fast. I know it's a Friday night, 7 p.m. But I'm just gonna kind of go through a little bit now of the benefits and extras that you may see, certainly again on our policies that we offer. Again, I can't speak for the other companies, but certainly TAC insurance is one thing. We clearly all have TAC and TAC sitting around. How many of you have numerous amounts of bits or 2 or 3 CWD saddles sitting around? It's really important to have protection against things like fire and theft. We've all been to the horse shows. Well, I can't say myself really for the horse shows, but I'm around them all the time. Certainly at the polo club, anything can certainly disappear or a fire can happen in the tack room. So, you don't want to lose a $5,000 saddle basically. So we include this as a benefit in our policy. We have a certain amount, it's $3,500. You're always welcome to increase it if you wish. But it's always nice to have a little bit of TAC insurance to help cover a replacement of, again, one of those nice saddles or a few bits that you own. Death cost reimbursement is another thing that we certainly include. It's basically your post-mortem coverage. So along with that worst case scenario, there's a limit that we will help pay the cost of, in the horse world, it's called a necropsy, but it's otherwise known as an autopsy. And I feel like I spelt that wrong, but and then the removal of the body. These, you know, if you do decide to do an autopsy on your horse, can be fairly extensive in costs. Anyone who's had to have a body removed, that can certainly run you, you know, a couple to a few $100s depending on the circumstance. So we certainly are able to provide a little bit of compensation if this is a case. A couple other benefits and extras that are out there. Competition withdrawal reimburses any non-refundable entry and stall fees if your horse falls ill or is injured prior to leaving for a competition and you have to withdraw from the competition. I highlight prior to leaving because that's a pretty bit something that you really need to know how that works, is that you have to have been still at, say, your barn when your horse falls ill or comes down with an injury prior to leaving for that show to have this be able to be something that's covered for you. But again, we do offer some compensation if you have to withdraw from a competition. Extra boarding expenses. Again, if you don't know a whole lot about equine insurance, this is something that is certainly something that can happen, but it's going to reimburse you for any extra boarding costs you may incur. That's stated in the policy guidelines. If you board your horse at a facility that gets damaged or destroyed and you have to temporarily move your horse to another facility. Again, pretty expensive costs if you have to find another spot to put your horse that's safe and away from the destroyed facility. But again, we can help out in a matter of ways in terms of a limit to get you through that extra boarding expense that may happen upon such things as, again, a barn fire, etc. And the last little one that is certainly beneficial. I know a lot of us probably have AEF insurance. For most, maybe it's a requirement. I know it's a requirement in Polo, but we also provide some liability insurance. It's just within Canada, but it obviously protects you if your horse causes any personal injury or property damage. So again, these were going to be things that if you were to see a quote, and again, quotes are outlined very differently between company to company, but I've kind of outlined it in the way that you would see it if we were to present you one. I thought it would be the easiest way to sort of go over exactly what you are offered. So yeah, there's a few benefits in there. I'd say there's 5 or 6 that we certainly like to include, and which helps you get you on your way with your equine policy. Now, I kind of went into what we call exclusions a little bit up further in the slide at the beginning there. And I kind of bring this up. I don't really think it's wise to get too deep into the policies and what the wordings exactly say, but I find exclusions in my travels so far in the insurance industry with equine can be, I guess, you know, a bit of a surprise to people. Again, an equine policy is basically a life insurance policy. It's like for humans, basically. So in general, exclusions are risks, perils, or properties defined in the policy as not covered. So in the horse world, it's a policy provision that removes cover for a condition, group of conditions, or an event that is usually covered under the policy, but isn't for the individual horse that is being insured. And really what it comes down to is pre-existing conditions. Again, if you are someone who has a life insurance policy, you've probably kind of gone through the same process with an application form and medical records, etc. If there's any previous injury or illness that the horse presents at the time of, you know, the veterinarian exam, it most likely will be excluded. Now, it's not my job to be the underwriter or or present the exclusions. That's their job. That's what happens when the application forms and the vet certs or the declaration of health are presented to the underwriters. That's their job to exclude or not exclude. But I guess I just kind of want everyone to understand that this is something, and it can be something that's very minor that shows up on the vet cert to obviously some of those major ones like colic. So I guess I just wanted to sort of present that so there's no surprises sometimes when you do present your medical records or your conditions, etc., or the health of your horse to us, and the underwriters decide that we need to put an exclusion on your policy. So it doesn't mean we can't cover your horse at all. It just might mean that a couple conditions that present themselves may be excluded, and which obviously means that we can't cover for that problem. All right, how we doing, folks? We're almost there. So I kind of put this last, we're kind of coming down to the end here. I think I've gone pretty quickly here, but responsibility of the insured, that's you. I think I kind of put this on here again in my travels in the last kind of 2 years, being someone who's now on the inside of the insurance industry and sort of mapping my way through this. Definitely ask questions. There is always, again, it's so important that you understand what your insurance policy is and what you're insuring. It's really important for you to understand the terms and conditions. So I kind of thought I would just say, never hesitate to reach out to, if you have a broker already, or you're finding a broker, or you found one that you really like and want to reach out to, never hesitate to ask them about things and discuss and have things clarified, because there's you know, there's that circumstance where all of a sudden you're in that worst case scenario and surprises keep coming up. So if you have a question before anything happens like that, I really suggest that as you, the insured, with your insurance policy for your horse, definitely ask the questions. No questions are dumb. Sounds cliche, but they really aren't, because insurance, as I'm finding, as I learn every day, that it's definitely sometimes can be difficult to understand and read sometimes, and it can be long to read. So I definitely can understand that, but yeah, never hesitate to ask those questions. And then read the wording. Should you proceed with a policy, or maybe you already have a policy in place, I definitely encourage you, as a responsibility too, as an insured, that you should always inform yourself of, again, what this policy includes, what it definitely excludes. I think that's where the surprises come in, and those conditions that that can come up as well. So not trying to preach here, but that's definitely something I kind of come into seeing on a daily basis with people who are trying to insure their horses, and educate them as well, that these are some of the things that I definitely encourage you to maybe take away from this last slide here. So that is pretty much it. Like I said, insurance on a horse, you know, it's fairly easy to do. Anything from 24 years old to 15 years old, we certainly can help out with. We also go from 16 to 18 and even into the 20s. Those are all special circumstances. But all in all, you know, equine insurance, again, I encourage you to just really ask yourself sometimes the financial situation that you may be in. Once again, I always kind of say it, that worst case scenario happens. Sometimes nothing ever happens. That can just be the circumstance, and knock on wood, let's hope nothing does. We never want to hear anything that is going wrong, or claims that are being put in, that's for sure. We just want to make sure there's protection and peace of mind out there for all you horse owners. So that is basically my presentation. Again, I tried to keep it sweet and simple. And then just the last little slide there is, if you do want to see something, or you have more questions in the next day or two, or you've thought about something, please don't hesitate to reach out at any of those ways to get a hold of me. Phone numbers there, as well as my email. And if you want some information too, or you just want to take a look, there's the website for our equine department at bflcanada.ca.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kirsten. That is great.
Yeah, hopefully it helped. Again, it's funny to know that a lot of people don't know that you can insure your horse, but I can honestly say from having a small schnauzer that I would, if I could go back, get small animal insurance too. So if it's anything kind of the same, I would definitely encourage that. But yeah, no, you'd be surprised who doesn't know that you can actually insure your horse. So hopefully it was informative. Hopefully it wasn't too quick, but that's kind of it in a nutshell.
No, that was awesome. That sort of broke it down into like the main things. And we've got some people in the chat here with some questions. The first question is, what does waiver of depreciation mean? So you sort of touched on that, but maybe you could break down a little more what that would mean in terms of like a different insurance company versus what you guys offer.
Well, I can't speak for the other companies, but I don't really, it doesn't necessarily mean it's different with other companies. This is basically just another coverage that can be put in place that in the event that something does happen within those 12 months of you insuring that horse on that policy, basically your terms and conditions won't change and the mortality will be renewed as the previous year. So just take that policy that you've gone into, something happens for the additional next 12 months, nothing will change.
Perfect.
So again, it won't differ from company to company. I don't believe. It's just a matter of if the company offers that or not.
Okay, so it's more of an add-on type of thing if you want to add that to your usual coverage.
Yeah, but in our case for BFL, we actually include it, which means we don't charge any premium. It's already in there. Now there are a couple of scenarios. Once you get over 16 years of age of a horse, we don't offer it. As you can understand, with age comes more risk. So also think of that too.
Awesome, thank you for that. All right, second question. Kirsten, a number of genetic diseases are being discovered within several breeds. Are these considered pre-existing conditions if your horse develops them or later tests for one that you were not aware of?
Oh boy, genetic diseases. Like I said, I would consider myself still a rookie. I may not answer that question, but I am going to get the answer. That's actually a great question, actually. Like I said, I learn something new every day. Technically, I guess it is a pre-existing condition, but again, I hesitate to give an answer on that. Mm-hmm. But I'd like to get the answer for you. So I've made a note of that. That's a great question. So I will make a note of that. I'll get the answer on Monday. And I'm not sure which email you want me to forward this to. Maybe there's a couple of questions I won't be able to answer, but I'll kind of do a little group thing of answers and questions that come through this, and I'll send them maybe to you, Jessica.
Sure, that would be great. Yeah, that's something I wouldn't have thought of either, but like with there are certain pre-existing things with like quarter horses, with HERTA, with HYPP, or something like that where they're predisposed. That's a really good question. I have a question. We've just discussed horse insurance. Do you offer other kinds of insurance? Do you combine policies? And if you do, like, what are the benefits of doing that through one insurance provider versus like shopping around and say if you're boarding horses, getting boarding insurance from one place and coaching insurance from another and horse insurance?
Yeah, good question. The products that we offer within our equine department at BFL are obviously what we just went over, equine insurance. We also carry coverage for coaches, whether you're non-certified or certified. And then our bigger product is equine facilities, and that can encompass a lot of things. Some coaches, like I said, we do cover coaches, but that's strictly for like a freelance coach. If you're a coach that has your own facility, we can certainly write the facility and have to write the facility, which means both your property and your liability. The only reason that that's a circumstance is because the freelance coaching doesn't cover your premise liability, which is kind of important. So if you're a freelance coach, definitely can still help you, just means you float around to barn, and we can cover you for that coaching. But like I said, our bigger products, and not to go into a huge amount of depth into it, but it's basically for equine facilities. whether you're a coach, whether you're just an owner. It covers you for boarding of non-owned horses, boarding of your own horses, training, riding instruction, any EFL. I mean, I can go on and on and on, but it's nice to sometimes, you got to put in perspective to the person, but it's nice to have it as a package for sure. Packages mean one premium, one renewal, one company, one claims department per se. That's another thing with us, is that we have in-house claims department. So if you unfortunately do have a claim, you get direct access to our claims manager, as well as our representatives that help out in that department. So all in all, the answer is yes. Definitely some other products that we definitely offer. If it's anything to do with equine, we also do farriers, blacksmiths as well. So that's also a product that we offer out there.
Cool. That's very good to know. Awesome. All right, so next question in our chat. If something such as colic happens, do you have to pay a vet to come out and confirm the cause of death to make a claim? Or would this cost be covered by the insurance, or only if you get the extra one?
Just say that last part again, it kind of cut out.
It said, would this cost be covered by the insurance, or only if you get the extra one? I don't know if that's maybe talking about the previous, like if it was a predisposed or pre-existing case. So maybe Megan, if you want to just explain yourself a little bit, that last part a little bit better in the chat, we can clarify.
Well,
So
a couple scenarios here. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just gonna say, you can answer the first part. If something such as a colic happens, do you have to pay a vet to come out and confirm the cause of death to make a claim?
Well, that's a bit of a tricky situation sometimes too, because obviously sometimes it just happens. The horse does die from the colic episode. Pictures, if you can get the vet out, I guess that's obviously the best way to go. But obviously in most scenarios with colic, whether it's, just the mild symptom to actually having to have a vet come out to confirm things, if the vet decides that it's the most best way for the horse, and that's to be euthanized, then obviously it'll be confirmed by that as well. But there's also scenarios when you go to make the claim. And again, I'm not a part of claims, so I can't answer very much in terms of the claims process, but when you're put in touch with our claims department, they'll guide you through. And that's another thing too, is obviously when something is happening and it requires veterinary care, that should be your first move, is to get the vet out there. The second one is to actually give us a call. We have a 24, and again, I'm just speaking from our company standpoint, but we have a 24-hour claims department pager that if in the case that it's early in the morning, even, you can certainly call that number, and the claims department will walk you through the process of everything. I mean, even if it's not going to the situation where the horse has to be euthanized or is dying. So another good thing to know about having an equine insurance policy.
Yeah, and Megan just clarified, she meant if they had to do necropsy to determine the cause of death.
Well, you can always do that. That's a choice of yours, obviously. And if you do decide to do that, you, like I said, are covered for that death cost reimbursement. But again, that can be certainly a different scenario if the horse dies already before the vet even is called or gets there. So again, if it's clear that it's probably a colic scenario, then you probably don't require the vet to be out there. Again, call your claims department, have them walk you through it. But obviously, again, there's no question that if you wanted to send your horse away for that autopsy to confirm things, it would obviously confirm to us that it passed due to the colic episode, and you would be covered.
Perfect. Thank you for clarifying that. All right. So next question. What's the difference between collision and transportation in regards to the cause of death?
Well, I guess in simple terms, and hopefully I can answer this, but it basically can't, if you're on your way down to a show or whatnot, the collision, and the transportation part of things, It can't be because of your doing or sort of anyone in the other vehicle will say that is hauling your horses as well. Technically, there actually has to be something in between for this to be considered collision of other than obviously the owner and anyone else with the ownership of transportation of these horses.
Oh, great. Perfect. I hope that makes sense to you, Lisa, since you asked that question. The next question is, what are the limitations regarding age for your equine insurance? So you touched on the age where the waiver of depreciation stops. Do you have any age limit where it like ceases insurance altogether or anything like that?
No, like I said, we carry insurance once the full drops from 24 hours to a 15-year-old. I'd say that's kind of what we mostly write upon, but there's no saying that we will deny you know, a horse that's 16, 17, 18, and even into their 20s. We just might change or offer a different type of coverage because, like I said, as horses get older, there's more risks involved. There may even be more injuries and illnesses that have been involved. But luckily, if again, the horse has made it to a certain age, I've definitely seen many horses into their 20s that, you know, are even still actively playing polo a little bit. So depending on those circumstances, we just have different rates as well as that horse gets older. So with more risk comes a little bit higher of a premium, which is obviously because of a higher rate.
Excellent. Awesome. Another question I had, what forms of payment do you take, and is it like monthly, annually? What sort of options do you offer there?
Yeah, you bet. Payment's always good. That helps. We only offer, like I said, we're on an annual policy. We do offer a credit card link. It's actually super easy to use. So in the event that we were to bind you and provide you coverage, again, someone would reach out to you with this payment link by credit card. I do know a couple other companies may do monthly payments, but there's also, keep in mind, a little bit of interest on those payments. What we do is, again, we send you the entire premium. So it's paid up front, but we can help in some scenarios or most scenarios because it can be expensive. It's an upfront cost, but we can help with splitting up the payments kind of on a monthly basis to help out with splitting those payments up to make it maybe a bit easier on the pocket every month.
Perfect. Would that be something you'd be more likely to offer to long-term customers, or would that be something somebody new coming in with with coverage would
No,
be?
everyone's offered that. Yeah, you can be brand new to the program or have been insuring with us for years upon years. There's no restriction. You can come in as a new one, and we definitely offer you that right up front.
Excellent. Awesome. All right. So the next question in our chat is, are the terms of the insurance as yearly renewal where the premiums increase over time, or are they level cost of insurance for a certain period of time?
If I understand that right, maybe just read it one more time, or can I read these on the chats?
Yeah, if you pop yours open, you can see.
Yeah,
it.
here we go.
Yeah. It'll be near the
Okay.
bottom. Charlene's question.
So basically, Charlene, if I'm understanding what you're asking here, the terms of the insurance, again, when it comes to renewal and their premiums increase, that really only comes with, again, if your horse goes over the age of 15, your premiums can increase over that time of period. As well, you know, insurance in general, you know, we have hard markets and we have soft markets, and depending on how those markets fluctuate from year to year, and whether or not our terms and conditions need to change because of hard markets and lots of claims coming in, etc. Sometimes the rating for what we utilize with the horses can change as well, which can unfortunately increase things as well. There's also scenarios like, too, if you wanted to increase your horse come the renewal again, you feel like there's an added value that you've put into them, whether it's through coaching or training or you know, they've been showing at a higher level, etc., and you feel that you would like to increase the limit, that can also increase your premium too. So definitely some other factors that increase that premium, but in terms of in general, you know, those would be the ways that those premiums you might see increase.
Perfect. She says, thank you for the clarity. And then we have Shelby says she has a question, but it might be easier for to ask over the mic if that's okay. So I can, oh, I think she's ready to talk. So go ahead, Shelby.
Hi there, can you hear me?
Yes.
Sure can, Shelby, yep.
Okay, perfect. So I just have a question. So I was just looking on the website here and you have like farm property and liability insurance. So I was just looking, so I just have 4 horses, but we live on a secondary highway. And I just wanted to know if that would be something where I should look into taking out basically my main concern is if they get out and they get on the road, if anything were to happen to them or they get hit, like what my kind of coverage would be, if it would fall under something like that.
Yeah, no, are you talking just about like what we've covered is an equine mortality coverage or something for your farm or your property?
I guess either or. I just want to kind of see what my options are and like which one would be a better option for us to take out just to kind of cover us in case the horses were to get out on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they do, unfortunately. I would probably point you more in the direction of a full mortality equine policy, just what we kind of went over. With our farm policies, we can insure your personal horses, but it's only under a specified perils coverage, which again is something I covered in those slides there, which comes up quite often again for clarification. So it's a little bit more limited. So, you know, again, if you've got expensive horses, and again, expensive can be different for everyone really, then definitely if something were to happen in that situation, like you kind of presented it, they get out onto the highway and they're unfortunately hit, and whether or not maybe they do pass or maybe they have, you know, severe injuries or whatnot, then you'd have that peace of mind, obviously, to move forward to provide the care that they require to either save them or, again, if they do unfortunately pass due to being hit or whatnot, you'd receive the compensation for the full mortality too.
Okay, no, that makes sense. And then the other question I was just going to ask quickly was, I worked at a surgical vet clinic for quite some time, and a lot of the customers weren't aware that the insurance companies don't direct bill. Do you guys do any direct billing, or is the customer having to pay that invoice at the vet and then submit it through you guys after for reimbursement?
Yeah, again, I hesitate on the claims process because I'm not in it. But from what I've seen, I believe the cost is up front with the owner, with the vet bills, and then it's compensated.
Okay, nope, that sounds good. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks.
All right, so just give everybody another moment if they have any other questions or anything. I have one more question. Does your coverage cover out-of-country insurance for horse and or rider? Because I know that's been a thing that's been hard to come by lately.
Great question. Yes, you know, going through my PowerPoint, I think I wanted to keep putting on a ton of other things, but sometimes you just gotta limit it to other things. But yes, your insurance policy covers you cross-border, so that means Canada and the US. Obviously, a lot of us show up here or play up here and then proceed to go down in normal times, we'll say. Many of us go down to either Thermal or Florida, etc., to compete, or Texas if you're into the Western world. But yes, it's definitely cross-border for the horse. So anything happens to the horse either in Canada or the US, you are covered. And then, like I said, in those benefits with the liability, that's only actually for up here in Canada. And again, one thing about insuring your horse, if you are someone that kind of keeps going back and forth, that the policy has to be taken out in Canada and you have to have a Canadian address. You know, we're starting to see a lot of people head down and kind of permanently sort of be in the States now. And that's just something that we're unfortunately not able to start covering anymore. So I caution on that, but for the most part, it's definitely cross-border, Canada and the US only.
Perfect. All right, and we have another question in the chat. It's from Anne. I don't know if you want to pop it up, Kirsten, and have a look yourself. It says, with regards to waiver of depreciation, my mare had an ulcers claim, and upon renewal with BFL, it was written into the policy that any ulcer-related issue would be excluded from coverage for 2 years. Hypothetically, the waiver of depreciation would cover death as the result of ulcers within the next 12 months, even though the ulcer treatment would not be covered. Is that true? Does that make sense?
Well, it does make sense, but I probably should not comment on that, especially maybe on the forum here. If you already have sort of been through the process with claims, I can certainly again take this question and maybe respond to it by that other email with the other question about the genetic diseases. I would just hate to get involved in what's already been something that's been involved. So I don't think I should answer that question. I don't want to sound like I'm deferring it, but again, you've probably already dealt with someone in claims that has to do with this, and I certainly don't want to step on the toes there.
That makes sense.
So if that's okay, yeah.
Yeah, oh no, for sure. Is the waiver of depreciation something you guys just put in like recently, or has this been ongoing for a while?
You know, gosh, that's a great question. I've only, like I said, been with them for 2 years, and as far as I know, it's been there since my inception into the company. So I think they have had it it's not something that's new, certainly.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, and then Anne said she's just trying to understand the add-on, that's all. Yeah, I guess it would just depend on like sort of case by case basis.
It can, yeah.
In some
yeah, it can. It certainly can, yeah. And again, I just would hesitate to get involved in what's either still an ongoing or something that has been already taken care of. But
No, that makes sense. All right. So it doesn't look like we have any other questions at the moment, unless somebody has thought or has anything else to add. I don't have any questions myself. My last one is how do we get hold of you, but we already went over that, so that's perfect.
Yeah, and again, like I said, I'm still a bit of a rookie, so I do apologize if I wasn't able to answer your questions to a T. The great thing about us, and I have to admit it, even from a employee standpoint, is there are tons of resources within the company, as well as my equine department. We're 11 women working together across the country in our little department here. So if I don't have the answer is easily and readily available.
Awesome. Cool. We definitely appreciate that. And we appreciate you coming here and sharing all your knowledge with us, because yeah, insurance is such a sort of gray area. Like there's so many ins and outs of it. So we really appreciate this. One more question that popped up. Is the value of the horse up to the owner to decide, or does some professional or some sort of professional have to sign off on it, or how does that work exactly?
Yeah, another great question. So there's a couple of scenarios here. The first scenario is if you purchase a horse. So just throwing a number out there, say it's for $10,000 that you've purchased this horse. For the first year of ownership, that's what we would base your limit on. So you would have a limit of $10,000. Upon renewal, again, in those circumstances where you believe or think that the horse is of greater value and you require a larger limit, we can certainly do that. What will happen is we will give you a justification of value form. It's a pretty easy form to fill out by yourself, or even by a trainer / coach to obviously justify the value in question. Even just a paragraph written by, again, said coach or said trainer will do just fine too. We also will ask for, say, show records. Certainly in the jumping world, we've got access to those, and it's listed quite a bit on either EC or a few other forms that we can grab things from. I know it's sometimes harder in the Western world. I don't know if anyone's in the Western world on this form. I know you're eventing, but those are all scenarios that we would bring up in the case of justifying the value, certainly. And I always kind of stress too, when people are asking about that, is it's not to question the value of your horse. We definitely believe you. It's just a prerequisite from the underwriters that they would like the information basically on file.
I'm just asking that because I have I bred a horse, so I've had him for his whole life. So how would I figure out what his value is? Like, look at other horses with similar breeding, or ask like another breeder or something like that. That's kind of where I was going with that.
Oh yeah, sorry. If you've got one from the ground up, then that's obviously a scenario as well. Yeah, if you've got any resources around you that you can certainly tap into to help clarify a value for you, I would definitely use that. You know, obviously when people throw out that they have a 2-year-old and it's coming in at a fairly decent high value, we're going to kind of look at that and maybe give it a bit of a question. But yeah, certainly you can place a value on something that you've bred from the ground up. You know, it's really an easy thing to go through with us. You just got to place the limit that you wish. We'll discuss it. And again, if there really is any kind of a question, those circumstances that we require either your coach, trainer, filling something out, or throwing a quick email to justify things, or like I said, the show records, etc., can all certainly help. So,
Thank you.
yeah, hopefully that helps. Again, it's sort of a scenario-based question. Again, we insure everything pretty much. There's tons of limits out there, different limits, small limits, higher limits. Just present it to us, and we'll place a quote for you.
So Emily's question just popped a thought into my head. Do you guys, like, there's so much purchases going on, like custom foals in utero sort of thing. Do you guys offer coverage for anything like that? Or once a foal hits the ground, when would be the soonest you could get insurance on it?
Well, you can certainly place insurance on anything 24 years or older. I don't do a lot of in foal or even fetus. I'd probably refer that to one of my colleagues who does do that, but we do those scenarios as well. But yeah, if one just drops and it's over 24 years old and it's kind of gotten through those critical periods of being born, then we can certainly insure it.
And I assume by 24 years, you mean 24 hours.
24 hours, sorry, yes. Hey-oh, it's Friday night.
It is. It's been a long week. It's all good.
24 years.
Awesome. Right. So I think that might be it for our questions, unless anybody has anything popping in at the last minute. Yeah, thank you again, Kirsten. We so appreciate you coming to do this. And yeah, we've been looking for more things to offer our membership. So we definitely think this is, like, we had, I think, 40 people on at the highest amount of people. So we really appreciate everybody coming out and watching. And we're gonna upload this to our YouTube channel. So the people that couldn't make it could watch it as well. Kirsten, do you have anything else to add?
No, again, I really appreciate, again, Kathleen and you guys, your association reaching out to myself and my company. This was good for me to do as well. Again, it's a learning experience still for me. There's a lot to learn with insurance in general, but I'd love to come out and see some eventing as well. The central part of Alberta seems to be a very big eventing community, and I've gotten to know a few people through the industry already. So, you know, let's hope things get back to normal and we can all start to get back to our disciplines like we normally could. And yeah, yeah, let's just hope 2021 is good. I wish everyone the best. And again, thanks for letting me help you educate you on equine insurance.
Well, thank you so much. Yeah, we'll have to get together at an event and we'll show you around and show you the road.
Yeah.
That would be awesome to meet you in real life.
Yeah. And again, the Polo Club is open to anyone. So if you're ever in the area and you want to see some fast horses and a little bit of stick and balling, then it's free to everyone. So just be careful. You're going to get addicted. You're going to change.
Just like eventing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like eventing. Awesome. All right. So I think we'll sign off here. Thanks again, Kirsten. Thanks everybody for coming out. And yeah, so we'll hope to see everybody soon out in real life once this COVID stuff and winter lets up.
Yeah. Thanks, Jessica, for hosting.
All right. Thank you very much.
All right, guys.
Bye.